We have just finished our classes for the day. Wolf tells me that he's going to a concert with his junior, Madeline Cross. I'm heading over to the venue right now. I can't let Madeline wait for me. After all, Nicholas sounds so casual, as though he's talking about the weather. I arrange my textbooks neatly before putting them into my bag. Okay. My response leaves Nicholas stunned. He pauses in the middle of typing a text to Madeline before raising his head to look at me. Madeline and I are about to watch the concert performed by the Paxleys, your favorite band. Are you not mad at me at all? I zip my bag while replying calmly, nope. I've begged Nicholas 99 times to watch the concert with me. On the 100th time, he finally buys 2 tickets for himself and Madeline. I'm not surprised in the slightest. Ever since Madeline transferred to our university, I've started to get used to Nicholas prioritizing her over me. I sling my bag onto my shoulder and begin making my way to the classroom's exit. Nicholas doesn't move an inch. He catches up with me and grips my wrist. Leah, we'll travel to Sorrento. 3 days later, the Paxleys will be holding another concert there. I'll attend that concert with you. That day is our 3rd-year anniversary, so I definitely won't bail out on you. I look down at Nicholas's hand that's gripping me. Then I look up at him. This time my lips curl into a smile. Okay. Over the past 6 months, Nicholas has promised me to do things next week 9 times, and said I'll definitely show up 13 times, and don't worry 16 times. But he's bailed out on me every single time he makes plans with me next week. We won't be attending the concert together, that's for sure. After all, I'm the one bailing on him. This time, my phone buzzed with a text from my brother, Elliot Quinn. How are the plans for studying abroad coming along? What about Nicholas? Is he not going? I stared at the screen for a couple of seconds before replying, no idea. It's got nothing to do with me. Elliot replied with a voice message, his voice sounding grave through my earbuds. What's going on? Did he do something to you? A faint smile graced my lips as I texted back, no, I'm just done waiting. And I truly was. The first time I asked Nicholas Wolf to go to a concert with me, Madeline Cross, a freshman in his faculty, said she had gotten lost. I waited at the venue entrance until the show ended, then took the bus home alone. The second time, Madeline said her club was short on people for an event. So Nicholas ditched me right at the ticket gate and rushed back to campus without looking back once. Every single time after that, Madeline always had some excuse to lure Nicholas away. I begged him 99 times to go to a concert with me, and we never once made it. He finally made it on the 100th try only because he was taking Madeline. Elliot didn't press the issue. I tucked my phone away and looked up, surprised to find Nicholas waiting for me. Why haven't you left yet? I asked. Nicholas blinked, seemingly caught off guard by my tone. He went quiet for a moment before saying, look, you don't have to act like this. I haven't forgotten my promise. I know how much you love photography. I'll buy you a camera tomorrow and you can use it when I take you to the concert. He actually thought I was just throwing a tantrum. And apparently, he remembered how much I like taking pictures. I smiled. There's no need for that, Nicholas. We should. Before I could get the words break up out of my mouth, a soft, dainty voice chirped from beside him. Nicholas, we should get going. If we don't leave now, we'll miss the start of the show. You can't back out now. You've never stood me up before. I looked up and caught the provocative glint flickering in Madeline's eyes. Nicholas turned back to me. Anyway, I'm heading out. Get home safe. He turned to leave. He hadn't taken more than a few steps before. My phone chimed with a text from him. You were pretty well behaved today. I like that. I'll bring you some cake when I get back. As Nicholas and Madeline's figures disappeared into the distance, I thought to myself, Nicholas, I'm not being well behaved. I just don't like you anymore. And this time, I really wasn't going to wait. When I got back to the dorm, I started drafting my application for a leave of absence. My roommates had bought plenty of snacks and alcohol to give me a proper send-off. As everyone gathered around the table, our resident assistant suddenly sighed. What am I supposed to do once you leave? You and Nicholas were my favorite power couple. Exactly, another roommate chimed in. Everyone on campus knows you two are a couple. Even the professors were cheering for you guys when you made it official. Why did you decide to leave? All of a sudden, my mind drifted back to the day Nicholas asked me out. He had just won the campus singing contest. Holding a trophy and a bouquet in his arms, he pulled me up onto the stage. Then in front of hundreds of people, he dropped to one knee. Leah, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? Nicholas asked. The crowd was screaming and cheering, and even the professors were leading the applause. No one would have guessed that our relationship would come to an end in just 3 years. The party wrapped up around midnight. Little tipsy, so after a quick shower, I collapsed onto my bed and started scrolling through my phone. Just then, one of Madeline's Instagram posts popped up. She had tagged me specifically. Huge thanks to Nicholas for helping out with the play. Supper's on me. The photo showed a table overflowing with barbecue. Nicholas sat beside Madeline, his head lowered as he carefully cut the steak for her. I knew right then that the visit he promised me tonight wasn't happening. I closed the app, opened my laptop, and checked my inbox. My application to that top-tier university abroad had been accepted. I replied to confirm I'd be there on time and booked a flight abroad for 2 days later. The next morning, I headed to the academic building to drop off my printed leave of absence. As soon as I stepped out of the dorm, I ran into Nicholas. He marched toward me, looking pretty irritated. Aurelia Quinn, why didn't you pick up your phone yesterday? I blinked, then checked my call logs and realized he had called me nearly 50 times. It was on silent. I didn't notice, I said. Nicholas didn't look like he bought it, but he kept talking anyway. Look, the concert ended so late that we just got a hotel room nearby. It's not like I stood you up on purpose. You don't need to throw a temper tantrum over. His voice trailed off when he noticed the application form in my hand. What's that? Nicholas asked. It's a report from my academic advisor, I said simply. Nicholas blinked, visibly relaxing. Is it for a competition? The math Olympiad is coming up. Soon as he was talking, another girl walked out of the dorm. She headed straight for Nicholas and handed him a coat. You must be Nicholas. Here's the coat Madeline wanted. I watched him take the coat with the kind of practiced ease that told me this wasn't his first rodeo. Leah, Madeline's clothes were soaked. And she's waiting for me to bring her this coat. I'll come find you later tonight. I watched him rush off. Finally, it clicked that he hadn't shown up here to wait for me at all. He was just running an errand for Madeline. But that didn't matter anymore. After I got the final signature from my academic advisor and headed back to my room, my best friend, Sienna Blake, came storming in, looking absolutely livid. Leah, did you know Nicholas is taking Madeline out for her birthday? He wouldn't even clear his schedule for your birthday last month. What is he doing celebrating hers? I didn't say a word as I unlocked my phone. Sure enough, Madeline had just posted a new update. Wearing the exact coat Nicholas had come to pick up that morning. As a birthday cake sat between them, her left wrist was adorned with a brand new bracelet, the same one I had once pointed out and said was beautiful. Now, it was her birthday present. Sienna was fuming. What is this girl's problem? Does she not realize Nicholas is taken? And what the hell is he even doing? He won't be taken for much longer, I said quietly. Sienna stopped mid-rant. Wait, what did you say, Sienna? I'm going abroad, I explained. My flight leaves tomorrow. She stood frozen for a long moment before finally saying, But you love Nicholas more than anything. Did Madeline do something? Talk to me, Leah. I'll go hash it out with them right now. Shaking my head. I held up my phone to show her Madeline's Instagram post. Nicholas had just liked it and left a comment a few seconds ago. Happy 21st birthday. Hope you're always this happy. Sienna stared at that comment and went quiet. After a while, her eyes started to well up. So, what are you going to do? I looked down at the stack of application forms and gave her a small smile. I'll be fine once I leave. Is he not going to try and stop you? I tucked my phone away. He doesn't even know. And honestly, I didn't think he'd care. I took one last look at Madeline's post. After a moment of thought, I hit the like button. I decided it would be my blessing to them before I left. I ended up sleeping until 8 p.m., and when I finally opened my eyes, my roommate told me Nicholas was waiting downstairs. After briefly freshening up, I went down and found him standing at the entrance with Madeline beside him. What's the matter? I asked. Nicholas held out a cake box. I said I'd bring you one yesterday. I froze for a second, having completely forgotten about his offer to buy me dessert. I honestly hadn't expected him to remember. But a moment later, Nicholas cleared his throat, his tone shifting into something cautious, almost like he was trying to negotiate. Leah, about the spot in this year's competition. Could you give it to Madeline? I finished for him. He looked a bit sheepish, clearly not expecting me to be so blunt. Madeline is up for a scholarship right now, and really needs this award on her resume. But you've already won it several times, Madeline added with a smile. Aurelia, this is from one of my favorite bakeries. We happened to be passing by, so I thought I'd grab one for you to try. I looked at the defiant glint in her eyes and the way the two of them stood shoulder to shoulder. It was clear that this casual gift had come with a hidden price tag. When I didn't answer, Madeline continued. Come on, Aurelia, just let me have the spot. It's not like you need another trophy, but this is a huge deal for me. I looked at her, then at the cake in Nicholas's hand. With a faint smile, I agreed. Okay. Nicholas seemed taken aback by that. Answer, wait, you're actually okay with that? I didn't bother answering him. I simply turned to leave. There was no reason not to agree. Anything Madeline wanted to take from me, whether it was a scholarship or Nicholas himself, simply didn't matter to me anymore. But I hadn't gotten far when a hand clamped around my wrist. Nicholas had caught up to me, looking a little awkward as he spoke. Leah, I bought the camera. We're definitely going to the concert tomorrow. I looked at him silently. He seemed to remember something and pulled out his phone. Right. I need to register the ticket info. What's your social security number? I had begged him 99 times to take me to that concert. And after all that, he didn't even have my social security number saved in his phone. I smiled and was about to tell him not to bother because I had no intention of going to the concert with him anymore. Just then, Madeline let out a sudden gasp. Nicholas, something came up at the club. I need to go over there right away. Can you give me a ride? It's really far. Nicholas instinctively turned to me, hesitation written all over his face. Go ahead, I said. He looked relieved and placed the cake box in my hand. Leah, remember to send me your social security number. I'll be here at 10 tomorrow morning to pick you up. I promise I won't be late this time. Their figures vanished further and further into the distance. I looked down at the mango cake in my hand, a flavor I had never liked. Without a second thought, I tossed it into the trash can nearby. At 9 a.m. the next morning, I finished packing the last of my things and said my final goodbyes to my roommates. By 9 a.m., I still hadn't received any confirmation for the concert tickets. 30 minutes later, I hauled my suitcase downstairs only to realize that the entrance to the girls' dorm was empty. I hailed a cab and headed to the airport. Outside the car window, the campus blurred by like a series of fading film frames, the library, the track, and the path Nicholas and I had walked countless times. I didn't look back once. Social media was already blowing up with leaked clips from the concert venue. The theme this year was love, and couples from all over the country were flocking to the show. My phone, however, stayed dead quiet the entire trip. There were no texts or calls. At 3 p.m., after I had picked up my boarding pass and was about to board the plane, Nicholas finally texted me. 2 messages popped up in quick succession. Leah, Madeline got hurt while moving some props. I need to take her to the hospital. So I don't think I can make the concert today. Let's just wait for the next one. I heard they're playing in Justin later this year. I'll get us front row seats. I promise I won't stand you up again. I wasn't the least bit surprised for the 101st time he still hadn't shown up. Calmly, I typed out my response. Don't bother, Nicholas. I'm moving abroad for studies. After today, we won't have anything to do with each other anymore. After sending that final message, I was about to turn my phone off. But the next second, the screen lit up. A familiar string of numbers flashed across the screen, ringing and ringing in a frantic loop. My thumb hovered over the power button. Nicholas. The name flashed across the screen over and over. For 3 years, I had answered every call. This time, I watched it ring until it stopped. A second later, another call came. Then another. Then another. Finally, a flood of messages arrived. Nicholas, what do you mean you're moving abroad? Nicholas, Leah, stop joking. Nicholas, answer me. Nicholas, where are you? I stared at the screen for a few seconds before typing one final reply. I'm at the airport. My flight board's in 15 minutes. The typing indicator appeared instantly. It disappeared. Appeared again. Then my phone rang once more. This time I answered. Leah. For the first time in years, Nicholas sounded panicked. What airport? I leaned back in my seat at the boarding gate. Does it matter? It does. His breathing was uneven. Why didn't you tell me? I laughed quietly. You never asked. Silence. I thought we were going to Sorrento. You cancelled. I said we'd go next time. You've said next time 100 times, Nicholas. His breathing stopped. I continued calmly. I counted. The concert. The birthdays. The anniversaries. The promises. 101 times. I waited every single time. Another long silence. Finally he whispered. I didn't know. No. You never did. A boarding announcement echoed through the terminal. Passengers for Flight 217 were invited to begin boarding. Nicholas heard it too. You're really leaving? Yes. You can't. I already have. Leah. His voice cracked. I'll come right now. No need. I'll make it. You won't. I swear You've sworn before. Every word landed like a stone. He couldn't deny it. Because they were all true. I'll break up with Madeline. I interrupted him. We were never breaking up because of Madeline. He froze. We're breaking up because of you. You kept choosing someone else. Again. And again. And again. I simply stopped waiting. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then he asked quietly. When did you decide? I smiled faintly. When you took her to the concert. The one I'd asked you to go to 99 times. I realized something. I wasn't competing with Madeline. I was competing with every excuse you were willing to make. And excuses always won. Another boarding announcement sounded. Final call. I stood up with my suitcase. I have to go. Leah. His voice rose for the first time. Please. Don't leave. I love you. The words I'd wanted to hear for years. Strangely, they meant nothing now. If you loved me, I said softly, I wouldn't have spent 3 years wondering whether I came second. My eyes drifted toward the airplane waiting beyond the glass. Goodbye, Nicholas. I ended the call. Then I switched off my phone. At almost the exact same moment, Nicholas stood frozen outside the university auditorium, his phone still pressed against his ear. The disconnected tone buzzed relentlessly. No. He called again. The number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Again. Unavailable. Again. Unavailable. His heart suddenly pounded. Airport. She wasn't bluffing. She had actually left. Without another thought, he sprinted toward the parking lot. Madeline hurried after him. Nicholas. The concert starts in 10 minutes. I don't care. She grabbed his arm. What about me? He shook her off so hard she stumbled backward. I said I don't care. It was the first time he had ever spoken to her like that. Madeline stared at him in disbelief. You promised you'd stay with me. Nicholas suddenly laughed bitterly. Promised? The word hit him like a slap. Promises. He'd made so many. To Leah. The concert. The anniversary. The birthdays. The camera. Sorrento. Next week. Next time. He remembered her saying. I've begged you 99 times. His face turned pale. He had always assumed she'd still be there tomorrow. Or next week. Or next month. He had never imagined she would simply stop waiting. He jumped into his car and sped toward the airport. Every red light felt endless. Every minute felt like an hour. When he finally burst into the International Departures Hall, he searched frantically through the crowds. Leah. People turned to look. He ran from gate to gate. His breathing became ragged. Leah. An airport employee stopped him. Sir, can I help you? I'm looking for someone. Aurelia Quinn. Please. She just boarded. The employee checked the screen. Flight 217? Yes. The employee offered an apologetic smile. The boarding gate closed about 10 minutes ago. Nicholas stood completely still. Closed. He slowly turned toward the giant glass windows. Far across the runway, a plane was already moving. It gathered speed. Faster. Faster. Then its wheels lifted off the ground. Higher. Higher. Until it disappeared into the clouds. Nicholas stared at the empty sky. For the first time in 3 years, the one who had been left behind was him. Nicholas remained standing in front of the window long after the plane had vanished. His phone felt impossibly heavy in his hand. For years, he had been certain of one thing. No matter how many times he canceled, no matter how many promises he broke, Leah would always forgive him. Now, the airport windows reflected only himself. Alone. Meanwhile, 12 hours later, my plane landed smoothly. The cool autumn air hit my face the moment I stepped out of the terminal. I inhaled deeply. Everything was unfamiliar. Different language. Different streets. Different sky. Yet for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. My phone remained off until I reached the apartment Elliot had arranged for me. When I finally powered it on, it vibrated nonstop. 137 missed calls. 264 unread messages. Almost every single one was from Nicholas. The first few messages were frantic. Leah, answer me. Where are you? Tell me which airport. I'm coming. Later they became confused. Why didn't you tell me? We can talk this through. Don't make decisions while you're emotional. Hours later, they turned desperate. I'm sorry. I know I messed up. Please come back. I'll never cancel on you again. Then came the final message, sent only 20 minutes earlier. Leah, I went to the airport. I watched your plane leave. Please give me one more chance. I quietly read every message, then selected the entire conversation. Delete. A confirmation box appeared. Delete chat? I pressed yes. 3 years of conversations disappeared in less than a second. It wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. I simply didn't need to carry them anymore. Back at the university, campus gossip exploded. The top math Olympiad contestant withdrew? Leah went abroad? Wait, wasn't she dating Nicholas? What happened? No one was more shocked than the professors. Professor Harris frowned as he looked at the leave paperwork. She accepted the overseas research program? She never mentioned it. Another professor sighed. She must have planned this for months. Across campus, Sienna packed up the last box from Leah's dorm room. Nicholas appeared outside. His eyes were bloodshot. Sienna. She looked at him coldly. What? Where does Leah live overseas? I don't know. You do. I don't. Please. It was the first time Sienna had ever seen Nicholas lower himself like this. She folded her arms. Do you know what Leah did every time you stood her up? Nicholas stayed silent. She'd smile. Tell everyone you were busy. Defend you. Then she'd go home alone. His expression slowly crumbled. Sienna continued. Last month was her birthday. You forgot. She still baked a cake. It sat in your apartment until it went moldy because you never came home. Nicholas's breathing faltered. Cake. You didn't even know. His face turned completely white. Sienna laughed bitterly. Of course you didn't. Just like you didn't know her favorite cake wasn't mango. You didn't know her passport had already been renewed. You didn't know she'd applied abroad. You didn't know she'd been packing for weeks. You didn't even know her student ID number. And yesterday, she looked him directly in the eyes. You asked for her social security number, so you could finally buy the concert tickets she'd begged you for. Nicholas remembered. He had never memorized it. 3 years together. And he hadn't known something so basic. His hands trembled. You know what's funny? Sienna interrupted. You thought she was throwing a tantrum. But she wasn't. She'd already given up. Those words hurt more than any accusation. Because they were true. He hadn't lost Leah yesterday. He had been losing her a little more every time he chose someone else. Yesterday, she had simply stopped pretending there was anything left to save. Nicholas stood there for a long time. Finally, in a hoarse voice, he asked, "Did she leave anything for me?" Sienna looked at him quietly. "There is one thing." Hope flickered across his face. She reached into her bag and handed him a small white envelope. On the front, in Leah's neat handwriting, were just 4 words. To Nicholas Wolfe. Nicholas's fingers shook as he tore open the envelope. Inside was a single folded sheet of paper. Just 1 page. He unfolded it carefully. "Nicholas, by the time you read this, I'll already be gone. You once asked me why I liked concerts so much. I never answered because I thought you'd eventually understand if you came with me. You never did. It was never about the music. It was about wanting the person I loved beside me while I experienced something that made me happy. I asked you 100 times. The first 99 times, you chose someone else. The 100th time, you bought tickets. Just not for me. That was when I finally realized something. If someone has to beg to be chosen, they were never being chosen in the first place. So I'm choosing myself now. Don't look for me. Don't wait for me. Just like I finally stopped waiting for you. I don't hate you. I hope you become someone who keeps his promises. Just, not for me anymore. Take care. Leah." Nicholas read the letter once. Then again. Then a 3rd time. His vision blurred. A drop of water landed on the paper. Then another. He stared at them in confusion before realizing they were his own tears. He pressed the letter against his forehead. "I didn't know." His voice broke. "I really didn't know." Sienna looked at him without pity. "That's exactly the problem. You didn't know. You never bothered to know." She turned and walked away, leaving Nicholas standing alone in the hallway. The following week, the annual Math Olympiad selection meeting began. Madeline arrived wearing a bright smile. "Professor, I'm here to register." The faculty advisor looked up. "I'm sorry." She blinked. "What?" "The competition spot has been cancelled." Madeline frowned. "What do you mean cancelled?" "The university decided not to send a replacement. It wouldn't be fair. Miss Quinn earned that position herself for 3 consecutive years. We won't simply hand it to someone else." Madeline's smile froze. "But the scholarship committee has already been informed. Without that national competition, the biggest achievement on her application disappeared." Her face paled. Outside the office, she found Nicholas sitting on a bench. He hadn't shaved in days. Dark circles surrounded his eyes. He was staring blankly at his phone, still looking at the same chat window, the one where every message after Leah's final goodbye remained unread. Madeline sat beside him. "Nicholas." He didn't answer. She forced a smile. "There's another concert next month. We could go together." Nicholas slowly turned his head. For the first time since she'd met him, his gaze was completely cold. "Do you know what Leah's favorite cake was?" Madeline froze. "What?" "You picked mango." "She hated mango." Silence. "You said she didn't need the competition. She never cared about trophies. She cared about the work." His voice was calm. Too calm. "I believed every word you said." Madeline's expression stiffened. "I wasn't forcing you." "No, you weren't." Nicholas stood up. "I made every choice myself. I don't blame you." His next words were even quieter. "But I don't want to see you anymore." Madeline's eyes widened. "Nicholas." He walked away without looking back. For the first time, there was no one left for Madeline to stand between. And for the first time, there was also no Leah waiting at the end of the road. 3 years later, snow drifted lazily across the historic university campus. Students hurried between old stone buildings, laughing as they clutched stacks of books and steaming coffee. Inside one of the largest lecture halls, over 200 students sat in complete silence. At the front of the room stood a young woman in a cream-colored coat. She confidently finished writing a complex proof across the whiteboard. And that's why this optimization method reduces the computation time by nearly 40%. The room erupted into applause. One of the professors smiled proudly. "Excellent work, Dr. Quinn. 3 years." In just 3 years, Leah had completed her master's degree with distinction and accelerated through her doctoral research. Her papers had been published internationally. Her work had won multiple research awards. She had become one of the youngest guest lecturers at the university. Most importantly, she was happy, not because of the awards, but because every achievement had been made without waiting for anyone. After class ended, several students crowded around her. Professor Quinn, could you look over my proof? Dr. Quinn, are you free for coffee later? Professor, will you supervise my thesis? Leah smiled patiently. One at a time. Her phone buzzed. Elliot, dinner tonight? Mom and Dad are visiting. She smiled. I'll be there. Another message immediately followed. Elliot, and don't forget, your exhibition opens tomorrow. She chuckled. She hadn't forgotten. Although mathematics had become her career, photography had never stopped being her passion. 3 years earlier, someone had promised to buy her a camera. He never did. So she had bought one herself. Now her photographs were being displayed in a city gallery, thousands of miles away. Nicholas Wolff looked very different. The once popular campus heartthrob now looked exhausted. He had graduated, found a job, worked overtime almost every day. His apartment was immaculate. Too immaculate. It didn't feel lived in. Only one drawer looked untouched. Inside lay a faded letter, a concert ticket, and an old campus photo. Every few months, he would unfold Leah's letter, even though he already knew every word by heart. There had been no new messages from her. No social media updates. No replies. Nothing. He had written hundreds of emails. None were answered. He had called. The number no longer existed. He had even gone to Siena once after graduation. She simply told him, "Stop looking. You lost that right 3 years ago." Eventually, he did stop searching. Not because he'd moved on. Because he realized Leah had asked for one thing in her final letter. Don't look for me. For the first time in his life, he kept a promise to her, even though it was the one promise that hurt the most. One afternoon, while eating lunch with coworkers, someone suddenly spoke. Hey, have you seen this? A colleague turned a tablet toward him. One of our clients is sponsoring an international photography exhibition. Nicholas glanced over absent-mindedly, then froze. The promotional poster showed a familiar woman standing beside a collection of framed photographs. She was smiling. Not politely. Not forcefully. Genuinely. Radiantly. Her eyes sparkled with the kind of happiness he'd almost forgotten she possessed. Below the photo were the words, "Guest photographer, Dr. Aurelia Quinn." Nicholas stared at the image for a very long time. A coworker laughed. She's incredible. I heard she's famous in both mathematics and photography. They say she's one of those impossible geniuses. Another added. And she's beautiful. I wonder if she's married. Nicholas quietly lowered his eyes. His fingers unconsciously brushed the worn edges of Leah's old letter inside his jacket pocket. For 3 years, he had imagined countless reunions. He had imagined apologizing, explaining, begging for another chance. But seeing her smile from across a printed poster, he finally understood something. She no longer looked like someone waiting for him. She looked like someone who had found a life where she had never needed him at all. And somehow, that realization hurt far more than watching her plane disappear into the sky 3 years earlier.